Companions, as I told you in my previous post, I'm in the final stages of preparing for my next safari into the south of Angola. It's going to be a bit further to the west than when I went the previous time, but preparing for a safari like this into the wilderness is something that needs to be done very carefully because I'm going alone. There's nobody that can help me if something goes wrong. So one of the things that need to be checked very carefully is the mechanical spares and consumables trunk. It contains various tools and equipment and consumables that I may need in the bush. I have lists that I have compiled over the years. It's very comprehensive, perfected over many expeditions, runs over several pages. Not all of it has to do with this trunk. Some of it has to do with personal stuff and medical stuff and so on. I check each item to make sure the contents of the consumables have not been used on a previous expedition or possibly expired or dried out, and that all the mechanical stuff is in good working order. So I've started to unpack the trunk. Here's the electric pump. I also take along a hand pump in case this thing fails because they are not very robust. Here's a small box with small consumables like glue and insulation tape and cable ties and so on in it. Spare fuel filters. Here's the filling hose, a piece of wire in case I need to tie down something. Some spare engine oil, brake fluid, some gear oil, spare hoses and pipes, fan belt, and then there's certain equipment that also go into the trunk. I take along two machetes, a heavy hammer, tire levers, an axe, and this is the crank for the winch. I use a mechanical winch because I don't trust an electrical one. There are a few items left inside the trunk, little bits of spares, spare thermostat, some more piping, very important material to make gaskets and packings with. And this tin contains two spare tubes for the wheels. Of course, I also take along equipment to dig myself out if I get stuck. The bush pick and the shovel. Your bush pick has got an axe on the one end and like a pick on the other end. I find that's the most useful. Mechanical winch with its chain and some shackles and so on. Also to break bush, hopefully neither would be necessary. So I'm done checking the spares and equipment, and this is what I call the evening box. It contains most of the stuff needed to make a camp. It's very rudimentary, I think, by most of your standards, but that's how I prefer going to the wilderness. There's some cooking utensils here, very basic. Stainless steel wine cups, a grid for frying, washing soap, some ropes, and some 1,000-foot flares for emergencies. It's a single box that gets offloaded and all the stuff is in there. So I need to check all of this to make sure everything is working properly and nothing has been used or taken from it since. A major part of preparing for an expedition is, of course, making sure that the vehicle is in absolutely perfect mechanical condition. Now, this vehicle is a Land Cruiser. It's 40 years old and it has done many hard wilderness kilometers. The only vehicle that I would trust to take me into the wilderness. But still, one needs to go through it very carefully. There are small little things like greasing all the nipples, replacing oil, filters, checking every joint, checking for stuff that might come loose in the course of the previous expedition or my own use here on the farm. And that's what I'm going to be doing now. It takes probably a day or two to get through this.
And then, of course, there's all the detailed planning of routes and investigating the kind of terrain and so on that one will need to navigate. Companions, this was my last post until I get back from the wilderness. So I'm looking forward to meeting you again, but roughly 6 or 7 weeks from now, we'll see. Good luck in the meantime.